Very good. We have one more presentation and then open microphone. The presentation will be Nate Davis presenting our software development update. I should say, ARIN's most excellent Chief Operating Officer, Nate Davis.
Thank you very much, John. Boy, the room has thinned out from up here. Those desserts must have been good. So, welcome everybody again. My name's Nate Davis. I'm Chief Operating Officer here at ARIN. I give this report at every ARIN meeting. The reason why is I'm actually product owner for a couple of the agile teams that provide input into the software development process. I'm here to report on what we're working on within ARIN, and I do this at every one of the meetings. So some of the things I'll talk about are strategic guidance, really what governs what we work on within ARIN, how work is prioritized, projects that we've completed since the last meeting, some of the forthcoming initiatives or work that we're planning on working on between now and the next ARIN meeting, and then just briefly give an update on the ARIN consultation and suggestion process, because that feeds a lot of what we work on within the software development arena within ARIN. So starting first with strategic guidance. If you go out on ARIN's website and you look under About Us, Corporate Documents, you'll actually find ARIN's strategic plan that the board reviews and revises every year. And in that strategic plan at a high level, we're responsible for maintaining, developing, and enhancing functionality of ARIN services as sought by the users and supported by the membership. And then within that strategic plan, we actually have two sets of organizational goals, some for 2017, some for 2018. For 2017, we're responsible for providing automation as supported and requested by the advisory council. So we have to provide tools and software to support them and continue to review and enhance online services, including making significant user interface improvements per user feedback and customer survey. And this is some of the input that we collect vis-a-vis the presentation that Richard gave so well this morning. And then lastly, we continue to focus on community suggested customer-facing high-impact software development efforts in a timely manner. So again, we get all this feedback from you and we figure out what's the low-hanging fruit, what's the most effective way we can spread engineering dollars throughout the organization. So we have a bunch of items that kind of influences the priorities that we work on, and this is a list of them. And at any given time, some may be more important than others, but it's all things that we look at and we have to evaluate when we're setting priorities for the agile teams that are working on development items. So projects completed since the last ARIN meeting. So we've had some enhancements that we've rolled into production, but I do want to mention that at the last ARIN meeting when I reported on this, I had indicated that we needed to kind of step back internally and work on some infrastructure improvements. And we have been doing that, and we will continue to do that for some time. As far as John and I have been pressing engineering hard to really put product out that's beneficial to the community. And at some point, you've got to take a step back and actually do such things as upgrades and infrastructure changes to support the future. And so we're in the process of that right now. So I did want to mention that in the context of these are the things that we have completed, but there's some work that's going on that doesn't necessarily have visibility because it's infrastructure related, or we're upgrading some of our platforms and so forth. So the ability to modify and reassign networks and delete reassignments from search results page within ARIN Online. The option to view free blocks as you manage your own IP address space within ARIN Online. You have the ability to view your own free blocks that you have and assign those accordingly. We completed a change in our voting contact management. As you probably noticed in the last election, all voting went through your web user account as opposed to a specific voting contact, and we had a successful transition with that. We're also continuing to do a lot of work in web accessibility and responsive web design. With this last release that just occurred recently, you probably see some of the interface changes with that. Again, this is going to be something that we're working on for some period of time, the web accessibility and user interface, user experience improvements. We've also added a fourth type of the ability to assign zones, child zones, and that's been recently implemented. And then POCs can now perform verification. We talked about POC validation quite a bit over the last day or so. And POC validation can now be performed by replying to the validation request email. So ARIN sends out these annual emails, and you can now just simply reply, and in the subject line add the word correct, and those will be processed, and your POC will be validated accordingly. So forthcoming initiatives, we had a request. Alan, is Alan in the room? Duran? Yeah, there he is. So we're finally getting to your request. And that is to actually make some of the transfer statistics available on the FTP site. So that's coming up. Again, we have some technical debt that we're undertaking, upgrades and infrastructure improvements. Continued work on web accessibility, UX and UI work. We have an implementation that we've had actually open since 2012 by Donnie Roisman to limit who query results for child network queries. And we're working on that presently, along with RPKI to 0/0 solution. And then lastly, unlimited result sets from queries from authenticated users via RDAP. So those are things that we have on the plate that we're working on, and hopefully we'll get most of those, if not all, done by ARIN's next meeting. Last thing I wanted to mention is just kind of a state of the union, if you will, with regards to ACSPs. So we've completed 26 of them. 20 of those were engineering efforts, and that's been within the last 2 calendar years. And I really want to take a moment to applaud the entire staff, because not all these are engineering related. There's been a number of them that have been completed by non-engineering staff within ARIN, and then 20 of them by engineering staff. And I really want to recognize the efforts there, that folks are focused on the things that you suggest through the suggestion process. Presently, we have 27 open, and of those, 26 require engineering work. A few of them have some heavy lift, and what I mean by that is they require quite a bit of effort to actually complete. One of those is actually the routing registry project, which we're right now, the Services Working Group is in the process of providing us guidance on that. But we have 3 ACSPs tied to the Internet Routing Registry. And then lastly, access restrictions for APIs. Again, that's another heavy lift item that we're looking forward to get underway and get completed. But it does take a fair amount of work. It's not something we can turn around right away. And with that, that concludes my presentation. I'll take any questions if there are any. None?
I do believe the fact that we're off Bourbon Street and there's sunshine might be having an impact. Any questions for Nate?
All right, thank you, everyone.